Consideration of a report from Bruce Wilson, Executive Director of the Workforce Alliance of the Northbay. And Supervisor Simon, you sponsored this, if you want to introduce it.
Yeah. Obviously, welcome, Bruce, and whoever else you have attending today, but I want to thank you for coming to our meeting. I know hopefully what we can do is have this, oh, there you are. Didn't even recognize you in the mask, Bruce.
Pardon me? Matthew is going to advance the slides when you're ready. So he's got them up.
Thank you.
So once again, welcome. I appreciate you being here. Obviously, the Workforce Alliance in North Bay, myself and Supervisor Pieska sat on the executive board. Since I've come on in my entire term, I replaced Jim Comstock, and I've been on the board, and I've seen the transition that we've gone through at the Workforce Alliance in North Bay. So, Bruce, welcome. I know last year we moved to, in the years have gone by, but I'm pretty sure it was last year, we moved to bring you on as the executive director to work in those counties. The 4-county partnership that we have with the Workforce Alliance in North Bay, and I appreciate you being here today to go over the great work that's being done. And I want to thank you also for attending the Lake County Risk Reduction Authority meeting yesterday and talk about the collaboration efforts in potentially building a new economy and opportunities for folks here in Lake County through the fire risk reduction, the work that's being done by all agencies. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor Simon, Supervisor Pieska. It's great to see you guys again. As Moke, as you were saying, both you supervisors, Pieska and Simon, serve on the governing board of the Workforce Alliance in the North Bay. Chair Sabatier. Perfect. Good morning, and members of the board. Very happy to be with you here today to just give an update on the workforce. A lot's been going on in the workforce and the economy. No surprise to you, but it's nice to check in and see where opportunities might be. Sometimes always look in for threats to the economy or to the labor force as well. So my presentation this morning, I'm going to touch on just some very, very basic demographics about the labor force. I have Christy Gard here today. I'm very happy to have Christy. Christy's our program director for all of the North Bay counties, and she has a wealth of experience and years of experience running Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act programs. So as you know or may know, the Workforce Alliance of the North Bay this year went through a competitive procurement process that led to a new operator for our career programs. So over the course of the first quarter of this year, since July 1, Christy and her team, her national team, really has been doing a lot of work to transition our employment and training system, essentially from yesterday into today and long into the future. So Christy's going to talk a little bit about what that system looks like and what you can expect for your communities. So with that, again, thank you. And if you could advance the slide, give just a little bit of background. So as Supervisors Pieska and Supervisor Simon knows, the Workforce Alliance of the North Bay is a joint powers agency. It's a joint powers agency between this Board of Supervisors and the Board of Supervisors in Marin, Mendocino, and Napa. So that occurred over the course of really some time ago. First, it was Napa Lake that formed a joint powers agency, and then that was in 2012. And then in 2016, Mendocino and Marin County joined that joint powers agency. So we're a rather large, geographically diverse workforce development area. We're one of 45 in the state of California. And we are, as the map conveys, very regional. So workforce boards can be as small as a city or as large as an entire state. We're larger than about 14 other state workforce development areas throughout the United States of America. Our priority industries include healthcare, advanced manufacturing, which includes wine, local government, and hospitality and tourism. And again, I'm going to take a little deeper dive into Lake County demographics. This was really interesting to me, but I had to look a lot closer. Sorry for how small the writing is, so I'm going to walk you through it a little bit. Interesting, the Lake County unemployment rate is not much lower, but lower than the state of California. If you go down to the left-hand side, that's our labor force breakdown. And that essentially tells us how many people are in the community versus how many people are in the labor force. And if you keep going through that, it gives you your those that are unemployed, etc. So the population being 64,000, again, it's hard to read, but the labor force is above 28,000. What's interesting is that line chart on the far right. So the labor force participation rate in Lake County has, by the looks of this chart, in May and June, starting to tail off a little bit in July, which is the far right, came screaming back. So those that were not actively in work in May, and I would say, January even, really just everybody that could work and came screaming back in Lake County. Now this chart is a lot different than what you see in some of our other counties, in that you didn't see that jump so high in those months. Having said that, so again, if you look at that access point, the June labor force participation rate was higher than the pre-pandemic average rate. So on the far left, the left from the mid of that chart to the left, those are your average labor force participation rates in Lake County. And again, what we saw was people really wanting to get back into work once we started relaxing the pandemic. The reason why I'm underscoring that quite a bit is because that's different than what we have been seeing on the national trend and even within our own region. There's a lot of people that are getting out of the labor force across, and you're probably reading quite a bit about this, where people are resigning en masse. And when the benefits came back in September, a lot of people expected this to happen. When the unemployment benefits ended in September, a lot of people expected this to happen, and it didn't happen across the United States. So if you could advance the slide, please. Educational attainment. The reason why I wanted to highlight this is because this is where our career and training systems really have an opportunity to make a great deal of impact. It doesn't matter whether it's in a Workforce Alliance or career pathway training system. It could be the TERRA program that we heard about yesterday at the meeting that Supervisor Simon spoke to. Any kind of employment training system, it's all about upskilling your workforce. So on the bar chart on the left, you have the percent of your population that has no formal education, and then working on down, the high school degree or equivalent, and then some level of college. Well, those three areas are areas where folks can come into our program. We are specifically here in these communities to upskill folks and give them the assets and skill sets they need to be successful in the labor market. So all of our employers need skill sets and need people to anything from soft skills to technical skills in order for these folks to be successful. And then actually move up into their career pathways. So we invest in not just a job that doesn't have a career pathway, but jobs like construction and healthcare and information technology, where we can keep working with somebody, keep upskilling them, and keep moving them up their career ladder.
Just a point of clarification, you're looking at only the labor force and breaking it down, because I know that those numbers don't quite match like the census, which would be the entire population, correct?
These do pull from the census. So
No, but
educational.
I'm counting the population, and I don't believe it adds up to 64,000. I believe it adds up to the labor force. Is that correct? Or approximately?
I think, okay, when Christy talks, I'll take a second look at that just to confirm.
Okay.
So thank you for highlighting that. But I think you are correct. I just want to confirm that.
Okay.
Advance the slide, please. Again, I'm sorry for this, but you'll be getting these numbers after the presentation. So this is just a look at what the employment by industry looks like, and really what I wanted to highlight were those two pie slices of the pie on the bottom. The brown represents government at about 21% of all jobs in Lake County. So certainly that's an area where we're going to be paying attention, because those are where job opportunities exist. Healthcare and social assistance at 26%. So that's anything from home health aides to licensed vocational nurses to RNs to psych techs to phlebotomists, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have a whole bunch of different smaller slices of the pie, if you will. Retail trade is a big part of that, and you can see on the right construction as well. Going, please. This is just we wanted to give you some actual numbers with regard to how many people are holding jobs in each one of those slices of the pie. So again, healthcare and social assistance with the largest slice of the pie, and it represents almost 5,000 jobs. Government represents almost 4,000 jobs. And again, we go through this and we're looking at where the job opportunities are, where the growth is, and that's where we tend to target our resources, because we want to get people into those vacancies. Keep going, please. Earnings by industry. I'm just going to highlight a couple of items here on the top, the left, so to speak. You see a large slice of the pie, and that from an earnings standpoint, that's your utilities, and that's likely like Calpine. And then everything else is pretty much evenly distributed. But let's take a look at what those earnings actually look like, given that this is so small here. If you can advance the slide. So the utilities industry, average earnings per worker, it's not a large, if you compared it to the earlier slice of the pie, with the utilities industry doesn't represent a whole bunch of jobs, but it sure is a well-paying industry. Management of companies, 84,000, information technology, almost 80,000, government, about 75,000, and you can see the types of industries that you have in the community and the average pay per worker. Very important information to know from an economic development standpoint. And then so we're going to shift a little bit to how our system responds to the information that you just saw. So how do we move people through our employment and training system, having them hook up with career counselors, and what happens when that occurs? Christy.
Hello. Make sure my mic is working. Thank you for having me here today. So Christy Gard with the CareerPoint Center, and CareerPoint is your local center where the training and job search happens. And so what we're focused on is this demand and supply. The demand for employers to bring workers, or the demand, pardon me, the demand are the employer services. That's where our employers are. That's one of our customers that we focus on. because if we don't have the employers in the system, then we cannot help people get jobs. So you can see in this delivery model, it's designed to match the job seeker up with the demand in the employer's market. So basically, I'm going to go through kind of how we provide those services, but as a flow need. So we're looking at our employers and we're doing outreach and engagement. We're assessing their needs. We're identifying the skills gaps with the potential employees or the talent that they're seeking. And we're helping to source out those jobs and find qualified or upskill talent within our local industry or our local area in order to meet the demand of the employers. On the job seeker side, we're out there outreaching to job seekers, letting them know which positions are available, what type of industries are open. We're assessing their skills. We're helping them build confidence and prepare on a soft skill level. And we're training them in order to match them with the opportunities that are available within our community. Can you advance the slide? So how do we do that? So most people understand that when we work with employers, that we're outsourcing to employers. We're recruiting for them. We're doing job fairs, hiring events. We're posting jobs in the system. We're doing job matching. What most people don't understand is that we actually have training enhancement opportunities available also. So we can provide on-the-job training. We can match our local talent with an employer and they don't have quite the skills that they need, and we can help them obtain those skills so that we have qualified talent. And you can see under training enhancement, work experience opportunities, customized training and apprenticeship programs. I will talk later about LinkedIn learning. The other opportunities we have are reemployment. When employers are having a difficult time economically, we can help provide rapid response, workshops, placement assistance, and those types of services to help them retain their employees or help the employees find new positions if necessary. We provide assistance with retention. Retention is important with our employers. If they can't retain, it costs a lot to train people, so we want to help them retain their employees. Employer satisfaction, employee satisfaction surveys, helping them understand how to coach employees to make them better, more effective employees. And then information and research. Anytime you hear we hear customers complain all the time about wages are not what I need. So just giving the information out there to the employers about what it costs to live in our communities, how you can train and effectively retain an employee and offer them a higher wage in order to stay, and it actually costs you less. Labor market information and industry trends. The outcomes that we're looking for is employers that are linked with qualified talent and they're retaining their employees. It's a win-win on both ends. Will you advance? Okay. Great. On a job seeker aspect, this is kind of the flow. So we have, we're going to start on the left, talent engagement and planning. During this, we're doing outreach, triage to figure out what our job seekers need, plan development and referring to partners or agencies within the community that can assist them to remove barriers so they can become employed. The outcome in this area is that either job seekers are finding sustainable employment really quickly, or they're being referred on so that they can continue their pathway to find employment. Then they'll move to talent preparation. This is where our career counseling, coaching, labor market information, workshops, including our LinkedIn learning. We're helping the job seekers get skills to obtain jobs and retain jobs. Retainment is important when we're doing this, and supportive services. The outcomes in this area look like job seekers getting jobs, or they're getting connected again to more services to help them with either talent development, preparation, or other in-depth barrier removals. Talent development, This is where we're going to come in and we're going to help increase basic skills. We're going to give them the tangible skills that they need in order to find a job. It might look like medical assistant training or truck driver training, depending on the individual's needs. We're helping them one-on-one develop an individual employment plan. How does it look for me to obtain my goals? We're aligning those goals with career pathways and in-demand occupations that Bruce had mentioned before. So we're really targeting those growth aspect opportunities. We're providing the on-the-job training opportunities and such. Here, our outcome for talent development is that the job seekers have the skills that are in a demand and they're connected to high-wage, sustainable jobs. It's all aligned with their skills and their abilities. That way, there's that retainment aspect. So we move back to that. Talent placement and retention, very important. And you notice through this, you can actually move through either all 4 of these areas or the 3 latter areas at any time during the process of going through our programs. But the most important is talent placement and retention. We're doing the job matching. We're assisting with hiring events. We're helping target their resumes, fine-tuning their resumes, interviewing preparation. And most importantly, we're following up once they obtain employment, we're following up with our customers for 12 months to make sure that they have the support that they need in order to be successful and continue with the jobs. So our ultimate outcome is that the job seekers are employed, they're earning a livable wage, they're retaining employment, and we're matching them up with the correct job and employer within the community. Okay. How do we bring our youth into this aspect? So WIOA has a youth program. You will notice it within your communities as Bright Futures. So the young adults, since they do have different needs, through our Design Your Future program, it's an evidence-informed job readiness curriculum that guides our young adults through self-assessment and career research and employment, which integrates also the 14 WIOA elements, and we can get into that later. I can send you information. But basically, it's to prepare the young adults for success. Some of the services that young adults differ from our older population is mentorship, work experience, and those types of services. Next slide, please. One of the value-added services that have been brought to Lake County and all of the communities that we serve through Equus Workforce Solutions is LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning is, they have over 10,000 different workshops, starting with your basic skills through tangible skills such as website development, information about different pathways. And this is all available to anybody who accesses our center or who is interested in LinkedIn Learning, and it's at no cost to anybody in our system. So it's a very valuable tool that had been brought in. Thank you. How are we delivering these services? This is exciting, very exciting. Most individuals know where the CareerPoint Center is, but right there on 55 First Street. I had the pleasure of walking up from there today. That is what we call the Americans Job Center of California. That's our main hub where we have all of the different partners for WIOA. Job seekers can come in and look for work and employment and receive services. But we're also using so we call that the hub. We're also using a spoke model, and you'll see all the different spokes. And the idea around this is that we have multiple access points throughout the county. So for example, how effective are we at serving Clear Lake if we're in Lakeport? It's difficult with the transportation. So I have staff stationed in Clear Lake at Woodland College 4 to 5 days a week so that they can provide all of these services to individuals there without them having to transport. So we also can provide services. One of the benefits of COVID and this pandemic is that we learned how to do virtual services really well. So we offer virtual services and 24-hour services via workshops that have been recorded and such. And then we can also have a pop-up location. And this is where it's important to know within our communities, and especially you as representing your communities, if you know of an area where people are looking for work, or there's an event that's happening, or you're finding the services are needed there, I can send staff to that location and we can have a career center there and we can schedule those times. All right. So the outcome, hub and spoke model, I put it on there, is greater access to WIOA services and employment for job seekers and employers. All right, next slide. How do you contact us? There's our information.
I'll just
Good?
I'll just say this. I'd like to underscore that what Christy just presented is a very rich set of services trying to move people that don't have opportunity out in our communities, to hook them up with a very trained and knowledgeable counselor about the economy. And we put them on an employment plan, just like when somebody goes through the K through 12 system, educational system, they get put on an educational plan. We do the same thing. We work with them one-on-one, and we move them through the system that Christy just mentioned. And then the other thing I'd like to highlight is the hub and spoke model, because that's where we could use your help. We don't want anymore to come up with a brick and mortar location and just force everybody to go to that location. This is a very geographic difficult county to a certain extent. There's a big lake right in the middle of it. And as much as possible, if we can work with our partners, social services, and start setting up and sending our staff to different parts of the community to make sure that everybody has access to our services, that is a key outcome. And the final thing is, different things have come up in the past, like the Employment Development Department leaving. When Christy mentioned the comprehensive one-stop center, that hub in the middle, it's critical that all of our mandated partners come together and work together as we are trying to move people through their employment journey, if you will. The employment journey is just too large and too vast and complex to just depend on one program, if you will, WIOA in this case, to handle everything. All the partners come together, they leverage their resources to collectively provide a career center and to collectively provide the services that everybody might need in order to move through their journey. Because that's where we can co-enroll and really leverage the public dollar for ultimate positive outcomes. And with that, we'll take any questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Supervisor Scott?
I don't have any questions. Just want to thank you for your presentation, and also thank you for realizing that we have to go where the people are, that we can't just have a brick and mortar place and expect them to show up there, that we have to be out in our community, and we do have an issue with the fact that we have this big lake in the middle of everything,
Right.
and transportation is hard here in Lake County. So just thank you for adding that to your program.
Supervisor Pyska?
So Bruce and I were having a conversation earlier, was it earlier this week?
Yes.
Or was it last week? I can't even remember. We are having critical shortages in certain sectors. He organized a meeting with Supervisor Simon and I earlier in the spring about hospitality. And you know about our need for more fuels crews to be developed, but we also have a shortage in childcare providers. We have a lot of
Right.
communities that sector has just disappeared. It was struggling through the fires, but now we're at a place where we have many communities without any providers. So we were talking about this and doing some brainstorming. And then we started talking about the ARPA funds and how we could strategically use those to build in systematic change. And so I was wondering if you could speak about that for a minute.
Right, I mean, I do think that there are opportunities and there is a role for workforce development in this arena. So some of the things that has just come up in my mind is, one, you saw that pie chart, healthcare and social assistance was the biggest, that's where the most people are employed. And so we're taking a deeper dive at that because there's a lot of transferable skills in that arena. So in the workforce development, I can look at skill sets from occupation to occupation and see what other kinds of industries need those same skill sets, because in this sense, you can consider yourself resource rich almost to that level. And also from the standpoint that there's a training system that is training folks in healthcare and social assistance. So from healthcare and social assistance to childcare, there are likely a lot of transferable skill sets. So that could be an opportunity. Number two is that when you look at the livable wage for different occupations, what we do know is that home-based childcare, and if you get the amount of children to take care of under the parameters that you're allowed to, it's a very appealing wage. So there's opportunity to train people on entrepreneurial skills coupled with the technical skills they need to take care of children, and then you can expand the child care slots potentially. So those are roles that we could potentially play a role in with our system. As you mentioned, I believe deeply in the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act system. I see it work time and time and time again. What we do matters. The problem with it is we only have so many slots because we've actually been funded less through the years from the Department of Labor. So that cuts our ability to have a larger impact, increased bandwidth. So that's where ARPA funds could be helpful, is allowing us to use our system to expand the bandwidth, if you will, for any industry, but in this case, childcare. So those were just some ideas that had come to my mind. I mean, it's doable though.
So Supervisor Sabatier and I are on the committee that are combing through all the ARPA fund requests, and it would be great if we could have a suggestion from you on how we could invest in workforce development with that avenue.
Conversation to be had for sure. Just to add to that, a lot of people wonder if people just are choosing not to go back to work. There's 21 local daycare providers that are no longer active in our communities. That's a lot of children that have no place to go at this moment in time because we have not refilled that with new daycare facilities. So there's so much more than what's so obvious to us. There's some very underlying issues that have still not been dealt with and fixed. I appreciate the fact that you mentioned the colleges. I think that's probably your opportune place to get to people who really are motivated already to want to start a career, to get involved in the workforce. And so I hope that relationship is getting stronger and is continuously building to create a better platform for those students to access your services, because that to me is the easiest way to get some good numbers. But speaking of numbers, I'm hoping that it's possible maybe that you can provide some numbers of how many people have approached Workforce Alliance, how many people have been connected with careers.
Right.
Those numbers would be really useful to kind of understand what works, what doesn't work, and what should we be focusing on for development processes, and what we could possibly fund to help make sure it gets more robust action in our community.
Right. Absolutely, I'd be happy to provide that. We do track it on a regular basis, and honestly, because of the pandemic was a significant disruptor in everything right? It closed down systems, and we had to go to remote service delivery. So knowing how many people are able to access that is something that we're very concerned about. So, but we do have those numbers, and I'll get them to you.
Yeah, I think everything from 2020 and 2021 will
Right.
come with an asterisk. And we need to kind of look at a larger data point rather than just that data point, because they might be an anomaly, or it may have been exactly what it was before, depending on how it was impacted by the pandemic. There was one other comment I wanted to make. You and I had talked a while back about the ability to pay 50% of an employee's wages. How much of that is being utilized within the county right now? Is that program still available? Because I think that's a great connection to an entrepreneur who's trying to start a business, to be able to alleviate the stress and pressures of paying all the wages for employees to help them be successful, if that's something that is being connected with you guys at all.
Well, I'll say this, you're speaking to our on-the-job training program in particular. And we have several different, a menu of services. We also have work experience programs where we pay more than that for a shorter amount of time. But the on-the-job training program is something that we do try to let our businesses know that we believe that it reduces their cost of doing business. But at the end of the day, it is a training program, and what we're paying the business to do is to train a person on the job, and at the end of that training period, whether it be 3 months or 4 months, et cetera, that person would get hired. So we see them no different than a community college in that case, because they're getting the training they need to have a very successful career.
Right.
It's a very rich opportunity.
I see it as an opportunity, absolutely. And even that short term doesn't mean that it's, okay, well, we can't use it, it's only short term. It's still helpful, and it also offers opportunities for the future as well.
Right.
And just to let you know, I did look up the percentages that you shared, and the only reason that I was asking that is because it said 30% high school diploma, and I was like, that's got to be way low.
Right.
Everything after that is added together, and just want to make sure that the public recognizes we're at 85.5 or 85.9% of high school diploma, not 30%. What it said, that I've never seen it displayed in such a way, and it just kind of shocked me. I was like, we're saying 30% high school diploma rates. So that was one of my reasons for asking. And the population they were looking at is only 25 plus. Because I found the exact numbers that you shared, and it said it was for 25 plus, hence looking at the workforce.
Okay, I was feverishly trying to look at that information as well.
Yeah. So just wanted to clear that up before we move forward.
Thank you for doing
Any
so.
further comments? Go for it.
Yeah, just, like I said, when I came on the board, I was put on the Workforce Alliance Northbay. The former supervisor was on there. And so when we started talking about, the future of Lake County, we talk about our Vision 2028, and what we're talking about here is growing that workforce. Hospitality industry, food and beverage, obviously you see up there government opportunities and jobs, and the medical industry, all those things. But if we are going to reach those goals that we have set for ourselves here for the Vision 2028 to really become a destination resort opportunity here back in Lake County, like it was, in the early, 100 years ago or so, like everybody always talks about, and we have that real opportunity. We've done a great job of establishing the ag industry and others, but we need that workforce for the hospitality, for the hotels, and the other things that we're going to be building here in the future. And we just want to continue that great work and making sure that our businesses understand some of the programs that were offered today. And thank you for putting your contact information up there, but we'll continue to educate and do the outreach that we need to do to help build the future workforce for Lake County, because it's only getting brighter each year, and this is a real important part how we move forward with it. So, and I'm excited, as you were talking about, the daycare. But like we talked about yesterday at the Lake County Risk Reduction Authority, the opportunity for the vegetation abatement, the other fire crews, those types of things, bringing work here in Lake County, just as Bruno was about our chair said, we have 85% of the folks that graduate with a good high school degree. They may not want to go on to college, but there are opportunities now over the next decade with climate change and other things to build a new industry in Lake County that gives those folks the opportunity to take care of their families and to not, be worried about, hey, I just graduated high school, but here's a great work opportunity that we can provide in Lake County. And we always talk about that with the great outdoors and opportunities we have here to really solidify that other side of the folks, like I said, that aren't going to go on to college, but are great workers and great employees that we know will get up every day and do something that'll benefit their community. So I'm excited about those opportunities, tying those things together. So thank you very much.
So I would like to say we are having a hospitality hiring event in 2 days, Thursday, October 21st, from 12 to 4 at Canocti Vista Casino.
Excellent.
So we have 11 employers currently signed up, and we're looking forward to people coming in and finding employment in the hospitality industry.
Yeah, and let's hope we get that transition we're going, because I know what we've seen a lot is the employers there, but not the employees. So hopefully today's announcement and things that have changed recently, that we get that workforce out there for the folks and really get in contact with them. And we're looking and talking about all types of different strategies. Where's that workforce at? We talked about even reaching out to the food banks that happen here in Lake County, folks that are going in for the food banks and, hey, here's career opportunities or changes. We had talked about at our board meetings, that's, when we talk about getting out to the community and going where they are, we know that the folks that are going there to the food banks and other things, which is a great program, but there's opportunity to hopefully grab somebody and say, hey, what's going on? Are you looking for, employment? Are you looking at changing your career? Real good place to look for folks that might be seeing some challenges right now that they've never experienced before. So excited about those conversations.
Anytime you, any of the board members see an opportunity for us to be at, I really encourage you to reach out to us and let us know, and we'll get out there. And then I'll finish with this as, we are a business-driven board. We are currently looking for private sector board members for our lake advisory, and I know you guys are all very well connected, and if you could recommend any private sector business members to serve on our board that might be interested in workforce development, we'd love to get them tied into our programs.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
How many individuals would you be looking for?
We would take up to 5 individuals right now.
So one from each district?
That would be
Absolutely.
perfect.
So we each can find one for you?
That would be wonderful.
Okay.
Just gave you some homework.
Yes.
If there's no further comments or questions, let's go ahead and open it up to the public. I see we have a hand up in the boardroom. Again, in the Zoom room, put up your hand or dial *9 if you're on the phone, and let's go ahead and start in the Zoom room. Boardroom, sorry. I'm looking right at you and I said the wrong word.
I have been one of your clients. I'd like to know when the first floor EDD is going to be open to the public. There are about 7 or 8 computers, and people look for jobs there. It was very active when it was open to the public. Is there a chance that it's going to be open to the public in the near future?
Yes, we are. Thank you for that question. We are very aggressive right now. We have hired a one-stop manager that's specifically working with all of the partners. The challenge is that each of the partners that we mentioned, you just mentioned one, EDD, which is a state agency.
You have 3 departments in one, yeah.
Right, and
Where the field workers come to get jobs and...
Exactly, and they all have their own policies. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we come to a consensus on opening that front door, which we expect to happen as early as next month.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Any further comments in the boardroom and in the Zoom room? I know I saw a hand up at one point. It's gone. And we'll bring it back to the board. Thank you very much for your presentation. Keep up the good work and trying to keep getting our people employed. Happy to see that we're doing better than the state. Let's keep that competition going.
Yeah, I like it.
Bruce, would you mind sending us an email that kind of would outline what a advisory board member, what that role would look
A job
like and what the
description.
time commitment is?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.